The bad pancake theory. It's this loose theory that, like, the first person that you're with after you're divorced, it's a bad pancake. It's like the first pancake you make and the griddle's too hot and you didn't put enough butter. It's not good. So you do it in a hurry and then you get rid of it so you can, like, make good
Because
pancakes,
it's
right?
hideous and inedible.
So, Chrissy, you remember my bad pancake, right? You have to remember. You remember.
I sure do. Okay, so today we are getting real about single motherhood. Not the Instagram version, not the CEO of your family empowerment slogan, but the honest, raw, emotional, funny, messy, and incredibly strong reality of being a single mom and doing it all. So I am here with my dear friend of 30 years, Michelle Shipley. Michelle is one of my very, very favorite people, and she's going to share her experiences as a single mom in her 40s. And let's be honest, Michelle is not here because she chose to be this big, empowered solo mom identity. Like, she's here because life handed her a role that she didn't necessarily ask for, and she shows up for it every single day. So, Michelle, welcome. I'm so excited you're here.
Thank you. Hi, Chrissy.
Hi, I'm so happy that you're here.
Me too.
So, before we get into it, how are you feeling about being here?
A little nervous. Single motherhood is such a delicate role and experience. And so I want to do it justice. It deserves, like, so much respect. But I also want to highlight some of the joys and lighter times of it. So I hope I give it what it deserves.
Absolutely. I mean, I feel like there are so many different situations and there's so much nuance to being a single mom because there's the whole spectrum. There's completely doing it alone. There is no other parent involved in any percentage. And then there's, all the way to, 50-50. We are totally equal partners. And so there's a big spectrum and there's so many different little micro situations. But I'm excited to hear from you. And I feel like whether you are a single parent who is listening or somebody who is not, guess what? You have a friend, you have someone in your life, you have a relative who is a single parent. And I feel like by listening and understanding your experience, that will give them also understanding, empathy, and have a better look at kind of the life that you're living and maybe realize, oh, I can step up in some way, or I can be aware of situations, just aware of your lived reality. And the single moms that are listening to this, I hope that you listen to this and you just feel so much validation and so seen. That's what I really, really want. So,
Me too.
Michelle, let's start at the beginning so listeners understand how we got to today. So, let's hear your story, Michelle.
I guess so. I was a bit of a free spirit in my youth.
A wonderful free spirit.
So I did a lot of traveling and I lived mostly in New Orleans. I tried on some different careers. I had a pretty big social life, so that those were my priorities and I enjoyed that. It wasn't until I was 30 that I actually decided to get married. The person I ended up marrying was someone that I met in my 20s at one of those stops in my journey. And we dated on and off kind of in my 20s, and we each had our own lives and, definitely were doing our own thing. But then reconnected like when I was 30, right before I turned 30. And that's when we decided to actually be together and get married. So we got married pretty quickly, very quickly. And
Yeah.
then it was about a year and a half later that our son was born. So it was a fast, those are like two really big events that happened in a short amount of time. And that moment became pretty pivotal, I think, in our marriage, as it does, but even more so than like having a child is pivotal in your life. Our marriage changed after that. It really kind of unraveled, and we
Okay.
never could get it quite back on track. We were married for 7 years, but ultimately we got divorced when our son was about 4.
You decided to get divorced. You're living where at the time?
So at that time, we were in Mississippi. So that
Okay.
was my ex's hometown, and we were living in Mississippi at that time, all of us.
And so once you decide, okay, our marriage is ending, What was the next step for you?
I would say so 2 to 3 months after our separation, and it was actually my ex's idea. He was like, hey, why don't we all move back to Indiana, where I'm from?
Where your family is, where your support is.
Exactly. Yes. And we had lived there previously during our marriage. So he was familiar with it. He knew what that was like. And he suggested that we move back there, obviously separately, but together so we could co parent, our son. And he suggested that my son and I move there pretty quickly. He's like, why don't you guys go ahead and go? You can get our son set up in pre K, you can get settled, and then I will join you like around Thanksgiving. I'll tie up loose ends, I'll get my work transfer, and I'll be there around Thanksgiving time. So that was our plan. That was what we took to court, that we would live in Indiana and have 50-50 custody of our son.
And then what actually happened? This is where it gets interesting.
Oh, good. Right. So we had a plan, we executed it, and that was kind of what I had built, my reality on. My reality changed to be, it was going to be that. Actual life is a lot funnier. And November came and went, and he did not show up. He did not come to Indiana. And time went on and he did not come. So he ended up staying in Mississippi. And then it was like a few months after our divorce, he announced his engagement to someone else.
We can connect those dots real quick. We can connect those dots. Oh, man.
Yeah, so that's how we ended up in Indiana, but he remained in Mississippi.
And so, yeah, at this point, it's like you were thinking, okay, like plot twist, my marriage is ending. I'm going to be on this single parent, co-parent journey, plan to have it in Indiana, and realize, oh, wait, this is actually going to take a completely different form. So when did you kind of have that reality check of like, oh, wait, I'm doing this much more solo, much less partner than what I originally expected?
I tried to think of like a moment where it just kind of hit me. I know when I got to Indiana, I was super motivated. I kind of hit the ground running. Like we had been here a few months and my son and I were already settled. We had a new home. He was in school. I had a new job. And so the exact moment when he wasn't coming, I don't remember that. I do remember it was close to a couple of months into that next year when I realized he was with someone else and going to be getting married, that I think the thought of him kind of creating a different life finally came into my perspective.
How you were going to move forward as co-parents was going to be very, very different because it's impossible to do 50-50 when somebody lives states away. And so having to really like reevaluate and I guess, calibrate and say like, okay, so what is the situation going to look like? I mean, at that point, first, to me, it sounds like, okay, you were obviously not given a choice in this. I mean, he's not going to consult you and be like, what do you think about me, quickly getting engaged and also not following through. So you kind of had to be sent in survival mode, right?
Yeah, I was. I mean, at first, I wasn't. I felt like I was like thriving, honestly. Like right afterward, like I said, when we first got here, I was very motivated. I did a lot of things that we wanted, but slowly it did kind of turn into more of that survival mode, I think, for me.
Kind of like the adrenaline probably wears off, and then like the exhaustion and the probably the mental and emotional fatigue kind of starts settling in of like, this is life. Okay, so at this point now, to fast forward, you're in Indiana and you're suddenly the one holding everything. So let's talk about how your parenting role evolved. So like not in this like glossy girl boss era way, but in the way of like somebody has to hold the roof up. So let's talk about that a little bit, because I feel like even like with our own offline conversation, I've learned a lot.
Yeah, so Chrissy, in doing research for our show, which was so lovely and I thought was so good and kind of you, yeah, had kind of brought this notion to me about sort of like being the CEO of your family. And that kind of sent us down an interesting conversation, right, Chris?
Yes. Oh my gosh. And really, you painted a picture for me of really how you feel. Not like the CEO of your life, but a very different look. So, could you kind of lead me and listeners down that little thought process?
Yeah, so I was reading the material and Chrissy's kind of pitch about like you're the CEO of your life, you get this freedom to make these decisions. And I was just kind of like, okay, that just does not seem like me. I'm like, why don't I feel like the CEO? I was like, I feel more like the janitor who was mistakenly identified as a mid-level associate and then was promoted to boss out of desperation when the rest of the company left. And it was me. So
I mean,
like maybe boss, but like definitely not CEO. CEO seemed like so refined and like you were trained for that role and chosen for that. And boss is just kind of like, well, you get it done. It's not pretty, but like you're going to get it done. And that's
like,
kind
done is
of
better
like,
than perfect.
yeah. And that's kind of more how I feel about my
Yeah.
role in our household.
That is like reality. I feel like there are a lot of, the resources that I kind of, as I was researching and trying to learn a little bit more just about like the single mom experience prior to this episode, there was a lot of people that are like, girl boss, you're the CEO, you're gonna, be in control of everything, and very much like empowering messages, which I feel like, yes, those are needed, but then there's a big discrepancy between the reality of what so many women in your stage of life feel. You don't feel like you're out there like girl bossing it till 5 o'clock and then girl bossing it for like shift two at home, right?
No, I don't. No, it's hard. I mean, it's really, really hard. And my situation is better than some other situations, right? Everyone's is different. I mean, for me, I work a full-time job outside of the home, and I have my son almost all the time, minus maybe a break when he goes to visit his dad, or his dad will come up here to visit him, or in the summer. He does go down to Mississippi for a couple weeks in the summer. Other than that, he is with me all the time, day in and day out. And so, yeah, it's a lot. My reality is very different from others.
Yeah, well, I feel like one thing that you wrote back is, you talked about kind of like how you're kind of feeling about the amount of responsibility that you feel as a single mother. Talk about that because you use the word paralyzing, which I feel like it is big, it is heavy. I mean, a massive responsibility to say, as a single mother, these are your responsibilities.
Yeah, I mean, heavy is another word I would use. Paralyzing is accurate at times, but it's with anything. When you think about like everything together that you have to do or that you're going to do, sometimes that can feel paralyzing. It's never ending, right? I mean, it's never ending, the tasks and the responsibilities and things you have to think about and be careful for and prepare for and execute. And I mean, it's heavy.
I mean, what you said in our messages were, it's everything. It's literally everything. You said every meal, every bedtime, every wake up, every doctor's appointment, every medicine, every illness, every practice, every game, every day of homework, every school meeting, every insecurity, every household chore, just everything. I mean, and that's absolutely true because when you say, oh, he goes with his dad for 3 weeks during the summer or whatever, it's like that I feel like does not just alleviate like, oh, all of a sudden it's like, oh, I can just breathe. It's like, oh, no, no, no. Like you, for the other 49, 48 weeks a year, it's like, girlfriend, it's you. It's you are the one who does the heavy lifting of all the things. It's like the pediatrician, the dentist, the activities, the everything. It's like that's happening on your turf. That's not something that you have his dad doing the heavy lifting for. I mean, there might be some type of like child support or whatever, but like that's not really going to move the needle as far as lifting your burden.
Yeah, 100%.
So when you stepped into solo parenting, like what was the hardest thing for you to learn? Like as far as just feeling like you have your feet under you. You're keeping your head above water, like all the metaphors.
Probably just balance, right? And I'll be honest, I still don't have it figured out. Even
Yeah.
after, I've been a single mom now for over 5 years, and I still don't have it figured out. It's extremely hard to balance my son's needs with my needs, with household needs, with societal needs. There's so many balls in the air. And so finding that balance has been really difficult.
It seems so difficult. You go to work, working from like, let's say like 8 to 5, okay? And then after, it's like you have to do all the things. You have to figure out the dinner. You have to do all the running around, all the after school things, all the preparation for the rest of the week, all the chores, all the household tasks. I mean, it is all on you. It's like you clock out of your work mode and then it's like, all right, clock in to 100% everything else. You have 24 hours in a day and you think, gosh, there's so much to do. Achieving that balance seems like a really, really, like what is balance? Like that's just like a joke, haha, that we like tell each other like
I know.
balance.
I don't have balance. And like I said, I have not figured it out. I keep trying, but sometimes it's heavier on one side than the other. And, it's really hard to balance all of that. It is.
What do you wish that people understood about the mental and emotional load of being a single parent?
I can only speak to my own experience because, like I said, it's all so different. And you mentioned too, like if you have 50-50 or if a co-parent's really involved or if you're not involved, there's so many differences. But for me, being a single mother 100% of the time is hard. It's hard. And I can't do things that everyone else can do all the time. And I need different expectations and I need flexibility from others. I'm just not able to, meet everyone's needs all of the time.
Yeah, like I remember, talking about, and I want to talk about this a little bit later, but like, when it comes to work expectations, I remember you had a position previously where there was just a lot of travel and it was like, I cannot do this. This is not conducive. This is not something as a single parent, as a solo parent, like I can't be out of town for an entire week at a time,
Yeah, that's a perfect example. I love to travel and I love traveling for work, but I'm just not able to do that. Like I can do it sometimes. And like shout out to Ames in this podcast, my mom, because she is incredible and she's a huge support to Atticus and I. She helps us all the time. So if I need to go, I can, and my mom can keep him or I can work something out. But, as much as they were wanting me to travel, yeah, it's not possible for me every time to be able to do those things that other people can who have two parents or even maybe one who lives close by or that they split time with.
Yeah, because when your ex-husband lives hundreds of miles away, there is no like, hey, I'm in a pinch at work. I need you to step up. Like that's not on the table. That's not possible.
That's exactly right. I mean, it's, I drop my son off every day. I pick him up every day. If there's an appointment, it's me. If he's sick, it's me. If we are going, it's me. Like I said, my mom is phenomenal and she would help. Absolutely. Every time I ask her if she can help, she's like, yes. But I also try to be really careful about how much I ask for help, just in general, because you don't want to be always asking people for help. And I should be able to maintain my lifestyle and my life on my own. So we have to be sure that we have a schedule and a lifestyle that is sustainable for us just by myself.
Well, one thing that you just said is like I should be able to maintain, my lifestyle on my own. Part of that is just like that's so much though. Like the way that societies have previously functioned as like a village and you have your village because at that time they realized it's like, oh, nobody can do all these things on their own. And so like the village is necessary.
Yes. And I do have a great village. I do. I guess I just mean like daily tasks of pickup.
Like under normal circumstances.
Yeah, like I need to be able to manage all of those. Like every
Absolutely.
day, I need to be able to manage those. Now, if something comes up or I need help or whatever, I do have a village to go to. But overall, I am responsible. Those are my responsibilities. And so I have to be sure that I can meet those without anyone else.
So, one thing that we talked in preparation for this episode is you talked about kind of the very interesting differences in your life of independence versus freedom. Can we
Yeah.
talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. I loved that conversation because, yeah, initially we were talking about the freedom of single motherhood, and that was just very triggering for me. I was like, what freedom? There is no freedom. Can we rephrase or something? And so when I got to thinking about, well, we actually Googled it, right, Chris? We looked it up
Yeah.
and it was like independence is more the state of being self sufficient and like free from external control or
Hmm.
assistance, which I believe I am very independent. Like I have
Yes.
independence. But freedom, it was like a deeper concept that involved your ability to make choices and act according to your own will. And I don't necessarily feel like I have a lot of freedom. Like I definitely make all the decisions, but it's different. I don't make decisions based on my will or what I want. Like I definitely
Hmm.
don't do that. I make decisions based on what's best for my son, primarily.
Yeah.
And then, what's best for our household. That's how I make my decisions. It's not just what I want.
Yeah. At this current time in your life, there's not a lot of room for spontaneity or just being like, "Oh, I feel like doing this. So let's, I want to go on a trip. So I'm going to go on a trip." Or, "Mama,
Exactly.
I'm going out tonight. See you later." Like at this stage of your life, mm-mm, mm-mm.
Yeah, that's exactly right. My friends and I, we like to call them seasons. Like in this season of life where my son is still relatively young, I don't have any freedom, right? I mean, I don't. And I have never-ending responsibilities and no freedom, and that's okay for right now. But you just have to really like accept that, and kind of lean into that is what I've started to do or learned
Yeah.
to do in order to be successful in this stage of life, in this season of life.
I love that you're bringing up this season because I have one of my dear friends across the street. She is a widow and she doesn't have family that's close by. You
Mm.
know, her family is probably about 3 hours away. And she has two sons, and one's 13, one's 10. And so, it's kind of seeing her, and I've known her for 6 years. And so, seeing kind of the shift of her seasons of life of when I met her, her boys were 4 and, 7. And so at that point, very, very, very little freedom, like
Mhm.
zero freedom, right?
Mhm.
And then now that they're a little bit older, a little bit more freedom. Not a lot. I mean, this woman is friggin' superwoman and she makes it all happen. But when there's a little bit more flexibility where it's like, oh, she can go to the grocery store and she does not have to bring her two children with her, or she can go to a concert and leave her boys home and the house will not be burning down, like little things like that. She could have some of that, but like that was not her reality for a very long time. And so kind of seeing how the seasons ebb and flow, and there will be a time, and not saying that it's like, oh, so it'll be great to think, oh, in 10 years I'll be able to pick up a hobby. Like no, no, not saying like there's room for 0%, but it's like, okay, maybe that's like a 2% thing, and maybe in 3 years it'll be a 5% thing, and just seeing
Yeah.
kind of the shift. But like for you as a single mom, like when, if ever, do you feel actual freedom, even if it's like rare or fleeting?
I mean, freedom. I mean, no, no. Mm-mm. No.
No, no, because even when you're like, so like we go on we go on like a weekend, we go on like a trip somewhere fun. It's like, yes, your son's in the care of most likely your mother,
Mhm.
but your brain's still always like, you probably
Yeah.
never feel like you can fully exhale.
Yeah, and you're always thinking, right? And as a mom, I think any mom is you're always thinking, okay, did I tell her that he needs this? Does he have And I go overboard, right? I need to be able to let go more than I do. I do have times, like you said, when we go on a girls' trip. And that is lovely. And I am able to disconnect from home and enjoy my time away. I am able to do that because I feel like my son is safe, obviously, with my mom, and she's taking perfect care of him, and I don't have really any worries. Everything would be fine. But it is hard for me personally to relax. I think that's hard for me and something I need to work on.
Well, I mean, you've touched on this previously, not in this episode, but we discussed kind of the hyper independence a little bit, where, girl, I mean, you are fully independent. I mean, you are the one paying your bills. You are the one getting all the things done. You are the one managing your life and your son's life. But then, there's also the thought of, okay, hyper independence. Tell me a little bit more about how you define that and how you see it in your life.
So I also Googled that, Chrissy, before this podcast. I was like, let me Google hyperindependence because I've seen it's like come up on my Facebook and stuff. And I'm like, why are you targeting me with hyperindependence
Like
ads?
algorithm, what are you listening to?
They know me. It's weird. But I think it's real, right? So it's where you are so independent that it is detrimental to your relationships and also can be detrimental to your own well-being because you are just that independent and thinking you have to handle everything on your own. Yeah, I wonder sometimes if I have a little bit of that. It's hard to discern between, hyper independence and being responsible for everything that you should be responsible for.
Yeah, because you have a very, very heavy responsibility. It's a lot. The idea of somebody who has such a heavy responsibility, like, how do you not kind of become hyper responsible?
Right.
I don't need anybody. I don't need anybody because it's like I only trust myself. I only rely on myself.
Right. Like I want to be able to do everything on my own in the sense of like we talked about earlier, kind of like the daily tasks and just our general schedule. Like I have to be able to manage that on my own. So I make certain choices and act independently to ensure that that happens.
So, we're talking independence and also in this stage of life, it's like you kind of are having to rediscover yourself, right? Like it is all you, it is all Michelle, but like you also have to think of like, okay, there is more to Michelle as a human than the motherhood role, but like you are a woman in your 40s. You are like vibrant and you're social and you're friendly and you're wonderful and you're beautiful. Let's talk about like the other elephant in the room, like dating and relationships.
Ooh, girl.
Dating as a single mom, dating in this stage of life, dating as a single mom in your 40s. I mean, that's like, say no more, but also say more.
But also tell us more.
Tell us everything. So when your marriage ended, you were mid 30s, right? And
Yes.
you got back in the dating pool. Like, how was that for you? I know how that was, but everybody else wants to know how that was too.
Do they though? Do they?
Yes, they do.
Hey, so
Y'all, Michelle has some doozies. She's
Oh,
got
yeah.
some crazies.
Yeah. So the bad pancake theory.
What's that from?
I don't know where that came from, but it's this loose theory that like the first person that you're with after you're divorced, it's a bad pancake. It's like the first pancake you make and the griddle's too hot and you didn't put enough butter. It's not good. So you do it in a hurry and then you get rid of it so you can like make good pancakes.
Because it's
right.
hideous and inedible.
So, Chrissy, you remember my bad pancake, right? You have to remember. You remember. You remember.
I sure do.
Unfortunately for me, the bad pancake theory was extremely and painfully true.
I'm gonna have to stop laughing. Okay. Yes.
So I will not go into like all the details on this podcast, but I will tell you the end of the date. Okay. And that'll tell you everything you need to know. So this was like maybe a third or fourth date with like the first guy I'd ever gone out with. It ended with a surprise pile of vomit It ended with shame in a midnight dance in men's jeans gone wrong, right? Poorly received. A missing shoe, and then me sneaking out at 2 a.m. in a literal snowstorm, okay? Scraping off my car, like with my body, just as quickly as I could get the snow off the car to drive away.
Like, I have got to get out of here. Run.
That was not it. Yeah. So that, I
That was
mean,
the
it happens.
bad
That
pancake.
happens. Yeah,
You just got to
that was
get
my
it
bad
out of the
pancake.
way.
Yeah. Just got to get it out of the way.
And really, it's like, okay, now you're back in. Like you've had that. You can toss it in the trash.
Yes. So dating for me is very challenging because, as I have mentioned, I have my son nearly 100% of the time. So, and not all, in my case, men are big planners, who want to give you, like, I have to have notice to do anything because I have to arrange childcare.
There's no what are you doing tonight? It's
Yeah, there's no like hitting me up at like 8, being like, "What's up, girl? You want to hang out?" No, no, I don't. No, I'm putting my
no.
son to bed. I'm in my own pajamas. Like, no, I cannot hang out right now.
It's like I'm planning for next week or maybe 2 weeks down the road. So
Yeah, like I need more time in planning and notice. So, yeah, dating's just hard. And then obviously, I don't introduce anyone to my son.
let's talk about a relationship that you had where he did meet your son. Really, really sweet guy. Checked a lot of boxes and really wanted to blend your lives together. But it ultimately didn't work. Can you talk a little bit more about that relationship?
Yeah, so I did date someone and he is great. And he and I had a lot of fun together and we got along really well. We had a lot of similar interests. So that was good. The trouble came when he would hang around my son. They just did not click. And,
Mm-hmm.
this person, he didn't have any kids. He'd never had any kids. So I didn't expect him right away to, fit together necessarily with him or with us. So we gave it time and we even broke up and got back together to try again, like try some different methods. Like we talked about it a lot. I mean, we were very open with like, this is a problem. Like, how can we fix this? But ultimately, there was just so much tension between them and it just wasn't natural and it just didn't work. I mean, obviously, my choice is made, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then I ended the relationship.
So it's like, even though it's heartbreaking, it's like there's this big priority that it's like, if it's not working with your son, it's not working.
Yeah, it's not working. But he's a great guy and I have met some good guys, but it's very, very hard to find someone who can fit that very delicate balance of like my specific situation.
Yeah, you have a very specific situation, and in order for it to become anything more than surface or casual, it's like, oh gosh, there are a lot of boxes that this person needs to check, and it's even more than just like boxes, but it's like, are the vibes going to be right? Are you going to fit into my life? Because it's like your life being how it is, there's only so much kind of adapting that can be done. It's like obviously there's compromise on both sides of a relationship, and that's how you kind of build something together. But like the way that your life is, there's only so much wiggle room. And so that probably makes it a little tricky.
Yeah, it's difficult because I am super happy with my life the way that it is. Like, as far as kind of my son and I and what we have built, and we're very happy and we have a very strong foundation, and our vibe is really good, and we have a lot of fun. And so I don't really need someone else. Like, someone else would have to really contribute to our happiness for them to be a good fit.
Yeah, rather than like, oh, we're going to compromise in these ways because I really need another adult around here.
Yeah, yeah, like that's not how I feel, which kind of goes back to me ensuring I can do things on my own. I don't need that. So that's a difficult role to fill.
So let's talk about you had a recent experience with a man over the summer where things were looking really promising and then they turned. Tell listeners a little bit more about this. Dumpster fire.
Dumpster fire, yes.
Future Dateline story. I don't know.
Possibly. So I'm pretty sure like I was the one that reached out on Facebook and was like, hey, what's up? We had mutual friends. He looked like a normal person.
Good looking guy.
Yeah, yeah. He was really eager to chat, but like that was okay in the beginning, because we're getting to know each other and stuff. So I was like, that's okay. We set up a date and we went on a date and it was good. We had a good time. I was like, oh, wow, this could be cool. He understood. He had a child. He was a little bit older than me. His child was grown, but he understood kind of that process. Then after our first date, I woke up to, I think it was like 14 text messages. And it was like 3 songs that reminded me of you, a couple of like soccer videos, his front yard, a video of his pool. Like I was like, okay. I'm like, that's okay. I just kind of
Like,
have
he's
to.
a high communicator.
Yeah,
Okay.
a communicator. Like I gotta just let him know my boundaries though, right? So then we go on a second date.
The second time you had seen this man in person.
During the date, it was still very overwhelming. And so by this end of the second date, I'm like, this is not it. So I went home. He knew my son was about to be out of town for the weekend with his dad for a holiday. It was like a long weekend. And so when I got home, I got a text. Let's call him Sam. It was Sam and Michelle's weekend of fun. I was like, scrolling. And it was like Friday at like 5:05 because I get done at 5 from work. He's like 5:05, pick you up, go to dinner, do this, sleep over at my house, and then Saturday a.m. breakfast, eggs, smiley face. Then we do all of these activities all day, sleep over at your house. Sunday, wake up, go to church, who knows? Like just this whole thing. And I was like, oh my gosh.
Like, Michelle, you're in danger, girl. You're in danger. We've got crazy man, Dateline, call him up.
Well, and I would love a man that would plan an evening or a date. Like that's awesome, especially at the very, very beginning. But to plan a whole weekend like without my consent or knowledge or anything was a lot.
You'd met him twice. 2 times.
I just told him like, "Hey, I'm just not feeling it. I'm sorry." And I explained myself, I was like, I just feel really like pressured by this. Then it went into crazy mode.
Well, and also you're like, I am a single mom. Let's loop back to that of like, I never have any time off. I'm not going to spend it with you.
I did tell him that. I was like, I don't want to spend my whole weekend with you. I was like, I want to go get a pedicure and a manicure and maybe grab lunch or dinner with my friends. I never get to do any of those things. And that was a misstep on his end of just not understanding my situation, I think. So after I had texted him and I was like, this just isn't it, he sent me a picture of some flowers that he had gotten me. And he was like, I was going to give these to you to make your day brighter, but I'm just going to put it on my parents' graves instead. And I was like, God.
This is when the crazy is coming out.
I was like, okay, like that's awful, but like do that. So then I'm sitting on my couch and I'm on the phone with my friend, my girlfriend, and I'm telling her about this. And all of a sudden, bam, 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 bam. And I'm like, who's doing that? And I look out my window and it's him. He is on my front steps with the flowers. My friend's like, don't answer, just calm down. So after a few minutes, I don't hear anything. So I look back out again and he is circling my block. Just circling. Now I'm scared. I'm like kind of scared. So it started this outrageous exchange of like text messages from him to me of just wild accusations and blame and all of these other things that were just totally unwarranted for the 2 times that we had gone out.
He has crazy. And also, what did you do after? You went on, what is it, the Facebook group, or what is the website? Like, are we dating the same guy? to be
Oh
like,
my gosh. So, ladies, single ladies, there is a Facebook group called Are We Dating the Same Guy? And women post men on there and they ask like for the tea, basically, or they want to make sure like nobody else is dating them. And I just Googled his name because I was like, no way, like, is he going to be on here? He definitely was. And there were all these comments saying exactly what I had experienced. It's wild, right? And I mean, obviously, he had never met my son, like nothing like that, but it was a crazy experience. And it definitely makes you be even more careful than
hmm,
what you're already being with dating men that you don't know.
absolutely. You know, they check the boxes of like, oh, you're a normal, functional, successful adult. Like, oh, great, unicorn. And then you're like, oh no, you are crazy. It went from like, not just did he have no idea, even though he was, you know, a divorced dad, what the reality of your single mom experience is. Like, okay, not only is he unaware, but then also he is like a little unhinged, little
Yes,
unhinged, little unhinged.
for sure.
Okay, friends, before you go and tackle something extremely glamorous, like staring at the fridge and hoping dinner magically appears, can I ask you for a tiny favor? If this episode made you laugh or nod in solidarity or even feel 2% less like you're the only one winging adulthood, please share it. Send this episode to a friend who gets it, drop it in the group chat, or take a screenshot and post it to your Instagram stories so more humans can find this tiny corner of chaos and honesty. And also tag me because I want to see who my people are. So thank you so much for spreading the word and making this community way more fun than my current to-do list. Let's talk about logistics, burnout, insanity. Because the real question is, how do you do all of this without collapsing?
I don't know. By the end of the night, I'm exhausted. If I need to do something, I usually get up at about 4 and I'll do it like 4 a.m. and I'll just do it in the morning. And that's really when I have quiet time and I'm able to get things done if I need to. I'll get up and do laundry or do my chores. The nighttime, I'm spent. Don't get much done in the evenings, but I can get stuff done in the mornings. And then planning ahead as much as possible and having grace with myself on if I need to do a grocery delivery for something or one day, or I need to do grocery pickup, or we need to DoorDash dinner. I just have to have grace with myself that, like, it's okay. It's okay. You know, we don't do it all the time. We do it a lot more than we should. But, like, just allowing myself those conveniences if I have to, because sometimes we do.
Well, yeah, Walmart delivery is like my new favorite thing. I have them come like 3 times a week.
Really?
It's
Yeah.
insanity. Yes, I do it
Yeah.
all the time because it's like, gosh, I am a busy person running all my kids around and trying to, you know, I don't have a ton of just like, oh, leisure time or whatever. And so it's like, whatever way I can optimize my life, it's like, oh, you mean I don't have to spend an hour at the store so I can spend an hour doing whatever thing is like a higher priority? Like, shoot, outsource what you
Yes.
can.
You really have to think about the ROI, like on different things that you do, like your return on investment, right? So, like, it's worth it to me to pay to have somebody mow the lawn. It's worth it to me to pay to have groceries delivered. Like, whatever it is for you, you have to be kind to yourself. And I'm lucky that I can afford those things and I can do those things. And I just really have to be honest with myself and kind about, like, this is more important. You have to do this other thing. Let's just do this. So planning is a big part of how I keep everything going. And, self-care is difficult.
As a single mom, what does self care even look like?
I think it's like basic needs. meeting
You
your
showered.
meeting your basic needs. Like sleep and, it sounds cliche, but like water and therapy for me, like I make time for therapy. And that is really helpful for me. And that is a huge form of self-care. And my mom will watch my son and I go and my therapist is amazing. Chrissy's heard me talk about her so many times, but like,
Seriously, I want her to be my therapist.
I know. So yeah, different forms of self-care for sure. And then doing things that just fill your cup, spending time. I really, really do not have time for things that don't fill my cup. And that's something that I got into this year. Previous to this, I was engaged in a lot of activities that I think maybe I thought I should be doing that just were not a good use of my time. And mentally, they weren't of no use to me. So I just cut those out. And now I just do things that, like I said, are giving me energy back.
Yeah, like have the ROI in your life. Really. It's like why would you spend time when it's like you have such limited time for either filling your cup or self-care or whatever. It's like why are you going to do something stupid that like doesn't really matter to you or doesn't make you feel rejuvenated or fulfilled in any way.
Yeah. And that's hard. You have to be like really hard. Like I had to get really strict with myself about that, about saying no. That can be hard, but it's useful.
Before we close, like let's kind of circle up and realize that like in the middle of all of this, like you have a very, very full life. You have a lot of responsibility, great deal of independence, not so much freedom, but like there are these amazing pockets of joy and pride and love. And so like let's talk about what shines through. I mean, you have so much love in your life. You have this amazing boy that you just I love your relationship because you are like the sweetest team together. And knowing how like seeing how much you light up when you talk about him, I feel like is so indicative of like gosh, he is the priority in your life.
He is the love of my life. That's for sure. He is this wonderful, magical boy. Chrissy, you know him, but he is just so big. Like he's got this huge personality. He's very outgoing and social and gregarious and just full of joy. And so that's so much fun. And he and I just have like a really special vibe, I think, that's pretty unique to us. And we just really enjoy each other's company, I think. And we have a lot of fun like in our days. And that makes the days go by easier as well. I would say we laugh every single day. A lot of like impromptu dance parties. We had one this morning before school, actually, to Saweetie, my best friend. So not like
She's
the
my best
most
friend.
appropriate.
It's the memories. I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah. So we have a lot of fun. And he's a good boy. And due to like kind of what we've created, I feel like the foundation that he has, he is able to have those feelings that you want your kid to have of joy and, hobbies. And he's able to be silly and things.
He's
So,
secure in
yes.
who he has in his life. You know, you are his foundation. You are his rock. You are, no matter what, mom's always here. And I love one thing that you sent to me because, when we were talking about the very heaviness of the responsibility of, your every doctor's appointment, your every lesson, every wake up, every this. But what you sent also is you have every morning snuggle, every rugby try, every soccer goal, every talent show performance, every impromptu dance party, every drive to school, every smile, every hug, every birthday, every opportunity to see him growing and changing, every Saturday outing, every newfound hobby, everything. And I feel like, gosh, Michelle, like it was so touching to see that fully acknowledging the difficulty and the responsibility that goes with being a single parent, but the joy that you have all of this.
I think one of my like favorite sayings is the one that's like, two conflicting ideas can be true at the same time. And the idea that I am completely overwhelmed and exhausted and ill-equipped, that is true. Also, just as true, more true, is that I'm happy and I'm so grateful for my son and he is so wonderful and our life is happy. Those things are both true at the same time.
I love that. Oh my gosh. I have two final questions before we do like our little final four. What are you most proud of in the life that you've created?
I think it is the foundation that you talked about. It's the fact that my son does feel safe and he feels secure and he knows that I am here. I am going to be here. I am here. I will always be here for him. He knows that. And so a lot of the insecurities and things that he had when he was younger, those have naturally gone away. And I've seen him come so much more confident and silly. Like I think sillier now than he even was when he was little. And I've seen all of that growth, both personally and also at school and all the other ways he's growing at his age. But I think I'm most proud of that.
So, Michelle, what would you tell a mom who is just entering the world of single parenting? What advice would you have to give?
I would say to stay strong, make the hard decisions, and seek support from other moms, be it other single moms or married moms. You know, we mentioned a village earlier. You need a village for lots of different things. So stay strong, though mostly. Persevere. You've got this.
Oh, Michelle. I love, love, love that we were able to have this talk, and I appreciate you taking some time out of your day. What I do with all of my guests is I ask them the final 4 questions of the episode. So, just to wrap up being on Found at 40, let's hear a little bit more about you. Michelle, what's your first concert that you've ever been to?
This may come as a surprise, but it was the Backstreet Boys.
I love
was.
it.
It was the Backstreet Boys.
BSB, BSB. Oh, I wish I would have seen them at the Sphere. It seemed amazing. What was your best concert?
The best concert I ever went to was a Third Eye Blind concert. Do you remember Third
Really?
Eye Blind?
Oh, yeah.
I am like
Semi-Charmed Life.
their biggest fan for sure. And they had a concert one time and it started raining, so they sent us out to our cars and we had to wait. And I mean, we waited there for hours. It was over 2 hours. But then when we went back in, a lot of people had left and everybody was wet and it was muddy. And Third Eye Blind went back on stage and they just rocked out. And it was so fun. I had the best time. So Third Eye Blind.
Love that. Who would play you in the movie version of your life?
Oh, God. Maybe like Catherine Hahn.
I love her. Oh
me
my gosh.
too.
She's so funny. And
Yeah.
yeah, she's a good one. I think my favorite Catherine Hahn character is when she was in Parks and Rec, and she is just like this crazy woman, but I love her. That would be great. Michelle, what have you found at 40?
My independence. I have found that and I am capable of more than I ever thought that I was capable of.
Michelle, you are amazing. I feel like you are proof that strength, it doesn't always look glamorous. I mean, sometimes it's like doing the school drop off, the homework, the bills, the bedtime, waking up and just hitting reset, doing it all over again. I'm sure it can sometimes feel like Groundhog Day, but like you are doing it. You are giving your son this amazing life. I feel like you should have so much pride, and it's like nobody did this for you. It's all you. And I love you. You're amazing.
Thank you. I love you
And
too.
thank you so much for coming on. I just love that we got to chat.
Me too. Thank you.